Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Managing risk effectively is not just about discovering threats and implementing controls. It is also about communication. The best risk assessments in the world are useless if no one sees them, understands them, or acts on them. In this episode, we focus on the importance of risk reporting and communication. We will look at how to communicate risk clearly to stakeholders and how to integrate those reports into real-world decision-making. Risk communication turns security insights into business action, and it is one of the most underestimated parts of the entire governance process. Let's begin with clear and effective risk reporting. In any organization, different people care about risk in different ways. Security professionals focus on technical threats, compliance officers look for regulatory impact, and executives want to know how risks affect revenue, reputation, and operations. That means risk reports must be tailored to the audience. A good risk report speaks the language of its readers. At its core, effective risk reporting answers three questions. What is the risk? Why does it matter? And what are we doing about it? The report must describe the risk in plain language, explain its potential impact, and provide a current status update on mitigation efforts. Avoiding jargon, presenting data visually, and focusing on actionable insights are all critical practices. A typical risk report might include a summary of the top 5 risks, each with a brief description, likelihood rating, impact rating, owner and response strategy. Color-coded risk matrices, trend graphs, and timelines help readers quickly grasp the severity and urgency of the risks. For ongoing risks, the report should highlight any changes in probability or impact since the last update. This helps stakeholders understand whether conditions are improving or deteriorating. Let's look at a real-world example. A global logistics company produces a quarterly risk report for its executive team. The report highlights 3 areas: cybersecurity threats, supply chain disruptions, and regulatory changes. Each risk is presented on a single page using a common template that includes a risk summary, heat map position, key risk indicators, and a dashboard of mitigation progress. The executives receive the report 2 days before their strategy meeting, allowing them to prepare questions and make decisions backed by data. Because the report is clear, consistent, and tied to business priorities, it becomes a valuable tool rather than a compliance obligation. Clarity is especially important when reporting upward. Executives and board members often do not have time to read lengthy technical assessments. They need concise summaries that link risks to strategic goals. For example, rather than saying unauthorized database access due to misconfigured IAM roles, a report might say data privacy risk from access control gaps could impact regulatory compliance and customer trust. The technical risk is preserved, but framed in terms that support action at the leadership level. Risk communication should also include escalation paths. If a new or emerging risk crosses a defined threshold, the risk owner should know who to notify, how quickly, and what supporting materials to provide. A fast, consistent communication process ensures that risks do not linger in silos. This is especially important during incidents or when key decisions are pending. Escalation frameworks, contact trees, and standardized templates make communication faster and reduce confusion under pressure. Now let's talk about integrating risk reports into decision-making. This is where risk management becomes a strategic asset. Risk reports should not sit in a shared folder waiting to be read. They should actively shape project planning, investment decisions, vendor selection, policy design, and leadership discussions. When risk data informs real decisions, the organization becomes more agile, more resilient, and more aligned. Integration starts with timing. Risk reports must be available when decisions are being made. That means aligning reporting cycles with strategic planning meetings, budget discussions, and product launches. It also means embedding risk discussions into day-to-day operations. For example, project kickoff meetings can include a review of relevant risks. Procurement teams can use vendor risk ratings when evaluating bids. Change control boards can consult the risk register before approving system modifications. Let's walk through a practical example. A large financial institution was preparing to migrate part of its infrastructure to a public cloud platform. The cloud team prepared a proposal focused on performance and cost savings. Before approval, the chief risk officer asked the security team to attach a current risk register to the plan. The register showed several unresolved risks related to cloud configuration, identity federation, and third-party audit rights. Rather than delay the project, leadership used this insight to increase funding for cloud security tools, assign a dedicated compliance analyst, and adjust the migration schedule. The risk report did not stop the project, it made it smarter and safer. Another example comes from a national retailer that integrates risk dashboards into its executive portal. Business unit leaders can log in and see their top risks, open action items, and recent trends. The information is updated weekly and includes summaries written specifically for non-technical users. This system empowers leaders to track risk exposure in their own areas and make proactive decisions. For instance, a regional manager reviewing their dashboard noticed an increase in access control violations across several stores. In response, they approved a local training campaign and reviewed badge access policies. This kind of action would not have occurred without the visibility provided by integrated risk reporting. Integration also means including risk metrics in key performance indicators. If an organization tracks financial performance, customer satisfaction, and operational efficiency, it should also track risk posture. For example, the board might review how many critical risks are currently unresolved or how many days on average it takes to close a high-risk issue. These metrics signal whether risk management is working and whether teams are being held accountable. One of the most powerful ways to integrate risk insights is through scenario planning. Leaders review hypothetical situations such as a data breach, supply chain disruption, or system outage, and use risk reports to test their response. This exercise reveals gaps in plans, clarifies communication chains, and builds confidence. Scenario-based decision-making brings risks to life and helps leadership prepare not just for what is likely, but for what is possible. As you prepare for the Security Plus exam, be ready to distinguish between risk identification and risk communication. Identification is about discovering threats. Communication is about sharing them clearly and using them to drive action. You may be asked how a report should be structured, what information it should include, or how it should be used in a decision-making process. Here is a tip for the exam. If a question involves reporting to stakeholders, executive summaries, or dashboards, it is about communication. If it mentions prioritizing projects, approving budgets, or choosing between vendors using risk information, it is about integration into decision-making. Know the difference between documenting a risk and presenting it for impact. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.